Mheshimiwa Rais, I want to tell you today from Kakamega, watu wenye umepatia kazi wamekuingiza kona mbaya sana. Mtu ambaye anaitwa Minister for Trade, mtu ambaye anaitwa waziri wa energy, na mtu ambaye anaitwa your economic advisors, lazima watuambie sisi wa Kenya, what did they mean? Loma bola bakulanga makure from government to government, then things are worse. President Ruto, sack these people, otherwise serikali yako sasa hata small functioning like this inaanza kukaa kama iko na sura mbaya. Kweli urongo?
Huyo mama mafuta huyo mama sio mamona na unajua biashara ya mafuta, unajua gharama yake, pesa ambayo inatakikana ufanye biashara ya mafuta bilioni 17. Angalia sura yake kama au anawakilisha watu wengine. Sasa wale ambao wanawakilisha ndio tunataka kujua, maana yake mingi ni kama sarakasi.
All indications show that the 17 billion scandal on oil is not squarely about Anne Njoroge Njeri. And in this podcast, I want to pick it from that Raila Odinga's soundbite. And I want us to interrogate more about this, because it is not just enough to say that the oil didn't belong to Anne, but the common denominator is that. But then there's so questions on who wanted to silence Anne. Welcome to the bold analysis. I have seen media reports of people even profiling Anne, going to her home and showing us the way the mother is staying in, living in some very uncomfortable situation, even though the daughter is the new billionaire in town. But I want to veer off from that. And in this podcast, let's trail this scam through the Okiya Omtata statement. The activist, who is the Busia senator, has released a statement that will give us the other side of the story that no one seems to be looking at. Kindly subscribe to our channel, click the notification bell and like our video. Those who are moving from one place to the other within Nairobi, or moving your office items from one place to the other, you need to work with a reliable professional company. I recommend to you Topmark Movers. Here, they're the best affordable and professional company in town. You can visit their website www.topmark.com, or you can contact them at 07 19 17 43. Topmark Movers, quality is everything. So let's delve deep into what Omtata is telling the nation. And I'm also going to play for you a soundbite about Murkomen. Keep it here, because you are going to get one of the most detailed analysis about a conversation the country is talking about. He has detailed series of transactions about some money withdrawn from the Consolidated Fund. Consolidated Fund is the account that government runs. And what, according to him, is an expose that should push Chirchir, the energy CS, and Murkomen, that had his transport counterpart, to explain more about this. According to him, as per the actual revenue, and on 6th October, the Ministry of Energy withdrew from the Consolidated Fund 16 billion. And in September, in September 2022, for subsidies of private financial enterprises, to pay some subsidies. Then apart from that, there was also another one here that I want us to look at. Then in February 2023, There was another 9 billion withdrawn for subsidies to same private financial entities. That one, if you add 16%, that is almost 25. Then as on 13th July, another 17 billion was withdrawn again for paying the subsidies to private financial enterprises. Now, total of that, 16 billion is withdrawn last year in September. Then in February 2023, there was another 9 billion. So if you add 9 from that, comes to 25 billion. So there was another one, 17 billion, that was withdrawn on 13th July. Now that is what Okiya Omtata is saying could be the money in question. And I want to read for you a reaction from David D. He just did, he did the screenshot. This is what he's saying. Look at what he's saying. This is nonsense on tilts. The line items are payments of Uhuru's fuel subsidy arrears. Suffice is to say they have succeeded widely in moving our political discourse from personalities, tribes to issues, or rather so. And now he's saying 25 billion set aside. Now that's where we are drawing the line. If you take the 9 billion for February and 16 billion that was drawn last year, it comes to 25. Then Okiya Omtata is saying the 17 billion that was drawn in July, is it the money that we are now in question? Is it the money we are talking about? But what is more shocking here, or what is, to me, what's puzzling here, is the fact that by that time, we were really taken through a charade, a political charade, that we left dilapidated economy. Now, this is what Okiya Omtata is saying. I have a reason to suspect that Mrs. Njeri, from all indicators, could not have raised 17 billion, which was used to purchase the fuel, as the private financial enterprises funded in Clause C that received the 17 billion from Ministry of Petroleum and Mining, and the contested shipment of oil is a product being used to launder money through Galana Villages. That is what Okiya Omtata is saying. And wait a minute. We've seen all these transactions going on, but there was a clique of politicians from Mount Kenya that were busy reminding the nation that Uhuru left dilapidated economy.
Bei ya kahawa itakuwa sawa. Bei ya majani chai itakuwa sawa. Bei ya mchele itakuwa sawa. Mambo ya makombia itakuwa sawa. Mambo ya makadamia itakuwa sawa. Tupewe tu muda kidogo tupange. Simunisikia pale Kasarani nikisema tulikuta store hakuna kitu. Hata panya walikuwa wametoka hakuna kitu ya kukula. Sasa mimi niko na nafasi kusema, wewe mzee kuzimia, unaongea vizuri sana, na hiyo ndio kazi yako ya kukosoa sisi. Kama ulifanya hiyo kazi ya kukosoa serikali ya Uhuru Kenyatta, hatungefika hapa tuko. You are burdened, you are duty to oversight government. Serikali ikaporwa na wewe na watu yako mkaingia kwa uporaji. Sasa unalalamika bei iko juu, na wewe ndio mwenye uliwacha kazi yako ukawachilia wakora wakaiba pesa yote ya Kenya, na wewe ukaingia pale kukula hiyo pesa. Namba 2, wewe mzee, ongea ukweli. Wewe ndio ulichanganya serikali yetu. Ukachukua 50 billion ingesaidia wa Kenya, ukapeleka kwa BBI ikapotea. Sinie? Huyu mzee ndiye alichanganya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta na serikali, wakachukua bilioni 200 wakaweka kwa project Azimio. Ilipotea haikupotea? Sasa yeye analalamika ati iko shida. Si yeye ndiye alichangia kwa hii shida yote?
So while Rigathi was busy reminding us about the dilapidated economy, some money was being transferred from consolidated fund to pay those financial enterprises. I think for them to get off the hook here is just to give an account of how that payment was done. And Okiya Omtata is raising the question about the 17 billion. In fact, he has asked the Energy CS and his transport counterpart, Murkomen, to give an explainer about this. And so, I want you to listen to Murkomen. He was speaking somewhere in a radio station in Lamu. was asked to put a comment or his reaction about this, and I wanted to listen to it because you will see the way he downplayed Anne Njeri's claim, and that actually it opened a Pandora. It opened an understanding that the oil was even sold before even the Kenyan started talking.
Na hekaya za Abunwasi.
Ndio hiyo.
Kwa sababu ukiona hesabu, kwanza kabisa hakuna court order ambayo itatuzuia kusema chochote, kwa sababu ilifaa kuwa court order iliondolewa na kotini. Kwa sababu ilionekana ya kwamba hakukuwa na msingi yoyote katika ile kusema ati bandari wasitoe mafuta. Of course tumeambiwa kwamba yule mama amerudi tena kotini kujaribu kung'ang'ania haki yake kusema mafuta ni yake. Lakini jameni, unajua hata kama hujaenda shule ya kusomea mambo ya uwakili, ni wazi kwamba kuna mambo mengine unayaona tu kwa macho. Hata tabia ya mtu mwenyewe tu vile anajibeba, kusema kwamba wewe meli yote ilikuwa yako, ati wewe sasa ulijiandikisha agreement na serikali ya nchi nyingine, na hiyo ni vitu iko wazi. Hakuna mtu binafsi kama mimi utaweza kuandikisha tunasema nini, makubaliano ya mkataba kati yako na nchi nyingine na isijulikane. Hiyo ni kitu inakuwa wazi kwamba hiyo bill of lading na hiyo documents yote ingekuwa aswa wewe ndio umekubaliwa na serikali kufanya namna hiyo, kwa sababu ilikuwa ni government process ya mafuta. Lakini kwa sababu ndugu zangu ambao wako katika ile wizara ya kawi wataweza na mafuta wataweza kujibu maswali haya, sisi kama poti tunasema tu ya kwamba hatuna documents yoyote, kama vile poti ya Mombasa wamesema tayari.
So mafuta mlipakua
kitambo, kabla hata ya hii mambo yote, mafuta ilikuwa imepakuliwa, imesafirishwa kufika penye ilikuwa inaenda, kwa sababu makaratasi zote zenye zinahusiana na documents ilikuwa imeisha. By the time huyu mtu anakuja kusema mafuta ni yangu,
hakuna mafuta.
Tunajiuliza mafuta gani? Kwa sababu mwenye makaratasi alikuja na karatasi zake, na mwenye ameletewa mzigo na meli ameletewa, ya wale walikuwa wanapeleka kwa nchi zingine wakapeleka nchi zingine, yale yalifaa kuwa katika taifa letu yakafika kwa taifa letu. So bandari ya Mombasa nia yake ilikuwa tu ni kwamba kazi yetu ilikuwa ni kuhakikisha kwamba tunaangalia karatasi za ubebaji wa mzigo, tunaangalia mwenye amebeba mzigo, nani amelete karatasi zinazofaa, na tunaachilia mzigo ya wenyewe.
So
mambo yale mengine ya kusema pengine ingekuwa yangu, pengine ni sasa, hiyo ni kati ya mwenye alikuwa anaagiza na mwenye alimtumia ama the seller kwa upande ule mwingine, muuzaji
na mpokezi
kwa upande.
Hayo ni mambo yao. Lakini mafuta yashatumika.
Sisi mafuta tunaachilia kulingana na makaratasi ambayo tumeletwa baada ya kukagua. Ukiona kwamba huyu ndio yako na karatasi zinazofaa na ameachiliwa mzigo yake. Pengine kuna mzigo ingine imepotelea baharini. Hatuwezi kupingana na mtu. Kwa hivyo
lakini yalikuwa ya hiyo pesa 17 billion.
Yes, kama itaenda kotini, kama mtu ataenda kotini na apate kwamba kulikuwa na mzigo nyingine ambayo imepotelea baharini, pengine
hiyo 17 billion ilikuwa mzigo wa mtu mmoja. Hiyo yenye ilitumika.
Hiyo haikuwa mzigo ya mtu mmoja, ilikuwa mzigo ya zingine zilifaa kufikia.
Alisema hapa nchini, nyingine akasema nchi nyingine
zilikuwa zinaenda nchi za nje.
Okay. Sasa nafikiri here is clarified. Mafuta yalishaendaga. Hakuna mafuta bandarini.
So look at what they're saying there. It seems this was even done way back before even the Anne came to the press. Now, if you want to know that what we are dealing with is not something very light, I listened to look at the caliber of lawyers that were around Anne Omtata. It's not total. He's a lawyer, one of the lawyers that is on human rights space, and also someone says they are the people that they're some of the best, especially on such cases. And he mentioned that the ministry, or rather there is another consignment that is supposed to come And allegedly the ministry or other KPO, someone was telling her to make sure that that ship returns. I listened to that part, and I wanted to listen to it because it will give us another interpretation here.
Acha niwaambie serikali iko na uhusiano. Haya mafuta ni serikali imechukua. Hii serikali imeiba haya mafuta kwa sababu hayakuwa yao, lakini wameingiza kwa pipeline yao. Huo si ni uwizi? Na wanasema kuwa makaratasi yake yalikuwa gushi. Makaratasi gani yalikuwa gushi? Nyinyi mmeona makaratasi yao? Huu ni unyama, ni ukatili. Hamwezi mkachukua mtu mkamfunga siku 4 na mmemfunga na nyororo kwa nyumba moja ambayo pia kwenda choo inakuwa ni shida, lazima waombe ruhusa. Na akikataa na kama na saa zingine akiomba ruhusa ya kwenda choo wanakataa kuja. Sasa mwenyewe anajichafua. Hapa ameambiwa kuwa aende zake kabisa na asirudi. Na zile meli zingine ambazo alikuwa anatarajia kuleta ambazo ni kama 4 nazo pia arudishe ama sizikaingia hapa. Kumbuka captain wa ile meli ambao mahakama ilikuwa imesema kuwa hiyo meli baki kama thibitisho kwa kesi, iliachiliwa. Captain akaenda zake. Captain mwenyewe ana confirm kuwa alipewa vitisho, akaambiwa kuwa usijaribu tena kusema kuwa hii mali ni ya Anjeri, kwa sababu kisema hatutakuruhusu ufanye biashara hapa ama ulete mizigo hapa. So hii system ambayo tunakuwa nayo ni aina gani hiyo? Hii ni sheria aina gani? Hii ni serikali aina gani? Kama serikali yenyewe ndio majambazi, sisi tutaenda wapi? Ataenda wapi? Ni mtu mfanyibiashara tena kwa miaka mingi, si mtu mdogo, ana kampuni zake na amepeleka mafuta nchi zingine nyingi sana.
And that's what I mean. So if someone is also saying arudishwe, we are just talking about 17 billion. Does it mean that there is another consignment, even if there are some other 2 coming? Then it means that Anne's net worth in terms of this oil space is more than that 17 billion. If there is another ship belonging to Anne. And number 2, going by what Okiya Omtata is saying, if indeed it belongs to government at some point, as he says, then why would it be returned? Why would there be calls for that oil consignment to be returned? Those are questions, and we may not have the liberty to have, we may not have those answers, and of course, I don't even expect us that we're going to have those answers. I said yesterday, there is an attempt, because Parliament has summoned Mrs. Anne Jerry to appear before I think a parliamentary committee to explain more about what exactly happened. I will be so keen, and I wish I've listened to her saying that she is going to obey the summon and she's going to explain what exactly happened. We are waiting to see what she's going to explain, even though there have been efforts to ensure that she doesn't appear, and some of the few guys around have been saying that, you know what, there are calls for her to abscond and not to appear. Raila Odinga said it's a matter of deal went wrong. And if you look at the way the dots do not really connect clearly, and you cannot see Anne as a one person in the future, in the picture. She's just the face of the haste, because the truth of the matter here is raising 17 billion is a kind of money that even if it's an individual, you know, if there are some foreigners who have seen, the twist that oil deal could be belonging to some Azimio politician also doesn't hold the water, because if it will be Raila or some other person who is not deeply connected, I'm telling you by now, we would have known who is that owner of that oil. Who is the owner of that oil consignment? Tungekuwa tushani, we would have seen the papers and all the leaks that have been leaked, because why would they hide if it was belonging to some Azimio? But These are some of the red flags. And these red flags is what creates the suspicion. Clearly, who wanted to silence Anne? Who wanted to silence her? I believe no one wanted to kill her. That for sure I can tell you, because the way she would even come out and speak about it, and if they wanted to kill her, that would have happened. But because there was no intention to kill her. But there was bid for her to silence, because she's been asked two things: drop the court cases, withdraw those court cases, return the other ship. And what exactly is it? Who wanted to silence her? And it's a case of, what is it? It's a case of deal went wrong. And she came out and spoke about it. Number two, and Sam Gituko asked it in the news again, how could we import oil out of G2G? That question, and of course you will realize that government has been so silent about this Anne story. The only people that have spoken about it are the two. That is, not G2G, about the Anne story. It's only Chirchir and Waziri Murkomen, maybe because they touched, maybe mostly mentioned ministers. But how would we import oil out of G2G? It also points that, is there oil being sneaked in the country outside the G2G bracket? And that brings me to this. Anne explains that she went to EPRA and the respective bodies and got approvals, but she was not given the import permit, which she allegedly says she didn't know that it was needed because maybe it was her first time, which I don't buy that. I think that's a lie. She might, if you're in such a high caliber business, you will actually not falter on paperwork, because it's money at stake. How would you? Who is this person that will import oil? Because according to her, the oil arrived in the country. So it was docking at the port, and it had not been discharged allegedly because of paper, because of that documentation. So the question here is, how would Anne get the audacity to import oil in the country, and the oil, even that oil, to arrive until in the port of Mombasa without the complete documents? How? Okay, if it is possible, then who would allow that to happen? Number two, even the other oil marketers were struggling with picking these dollars and so. So this might have been, she might have actually got the dollars. I don't want to believe this money was paid in Kenyan shillings. She might have paid it, the dollar. She might have paid the dollar. Now, clearly, what's happening here is that if this was brought here outside G2G, then it's a case of maybe someone was busted, and after he was busted, that oil had to be brought through the Galana space, maybe the national oil supply space, so that it doesn't fall out of G2G. Number three, the other red flag. Why are the directors, and this one is what Mtaani is asking, why are the directors of Anne's committee, Anne's company, quiet? Why are they not putting any comment, or they don't have any comment about this oil development? Because it can't be that she's the only person mentioned in it, or rather, she's the only person who is in it. So there's so many others, and I think while she will be appearing in it, it will take the country to the MPs to interrogate further and ask very many questions and get profile of who exactly is Anne and who are the men and women behind this scam. Now, you see, there is the other point here. She said she imported oil from Europe. Which country? I don't know which country which produces oil in Europe, maybe. But why would that be? Does it mean that for this country, there is a place we can get a cheaper oil? Does it mean there is a place we can get cheaper oil? Because those are the things. And because why would she veer off from the Saudi? Even other elements that know very well that the Saudi deal, it's actually giving us not the best, as what Halwale is actually saying. Then, back to Okiya Omtata's question. If we withdrew some money from the consolidated fund, don't you think it needs accreditation, approval of the controller of budget? Those are the questions we need to answer. We were taking through a political charade of we inherited dilapidated economy, but ladies and gentlemen, I think what this oil scam has actually showed this country is that we are treading dangerous road. We are not sitting well, and despite of the brave face and the big English and the argument and the defense line and the propaganda being wheeled to control the public emotions, things can blow out of reach. On this one, we need to be more keen, and maybe let's not look at it as if Anne is exposing government. Let's just look at it as the system, how the system is working. And I think for William Ruto, it's a time to interrogate, how is my system working? That's the best. Thank you. Let's meet in the next podcast.